Ending a 25-year friendship after my best friend's wedding behavior. Am I wrong for cutting ties, or was it unforgivable? AITAH for ending my friendship with best friend of 25 years because of what she did during my wedding. Strap in for a long one. I, 33F, wed my husband, 32M 3 years ago. We had been dating prior to our wedding for 8 years. When I met my husband, Sam, my best friend, let's call her Laura, 32F, advised me not to exclusively date him as I should keep my options open. I remember how baffled I was at this because I had never dated multiple men at a time and would exclusively date and remain in serious relations with my exes. Fast forward to 2021, we planned a wedding during COVID as we felt financially ready to do so. Laura had known for years that Sam and I were planning to get married but kept facing hardships throughout our relationship. Father passed away. His mother had a stroke, etc. My husband is the majority breadwinner in his family, consisting of 4 other people. A minor detail is that we are South Asian, so in our culture, sons live together. So I was joining a family of 5. Due to COVID, I was able to tremendously financially save for the wedding events, and so was he. He proposed to me in April 2021, and by May we were religiously married. At that time, my friend and I were on good terms. We had fallouts through the years because of her controlling behavior, but we decided that staying friends was more important. Laura and I went to the same elementary school, junior high school, and college in Nike. We were inseparable, and everyone knew that. Laura was my bridesmaid. I planned a henna ceremony and reception in September 2021. From May to September, I noticed that Laura's behavior was starting to change and we stopped communicating much. I was busy with wedding planning, so I didn't give it much mind. I had personally given her and her family an invitation card to my upcoming events and had asked her to constantly RSVP, so I knew how many of her family members were coming, about 7 of them. She didn't RSVP until 2 days before my reception. When I told her to RSVP to the henna ceremony, she claimed that I never told her about the event and would not be able to come. I screenshotted a conversation I had in a group chat with her and my other best friend proving I had told her, and she had read the text. She said she must have forgotten. I sent her a link to a dress I wanted all bridesmaids to wear, and she replied back saying if she had asked anyone at her wedding to pay for outfits, they'd be furious at her. I told her that paying for 6 other bridesmaids' dresses wasn't in my budget. Guys, the outfits were $34 on Amazon. After that, she complained that I hadn't included her on any wedding shopping. In our culture, we're Bengali, the friends usually accompany in shopping, but because it was COVID, we only took my parents, his parents, and brother. We weren't even able to include my sister because she had a 10-month-old and lived in Queens, New York, where my parents and I lived in Manhattan, and were traveling to NJ for bridal outfits. If it wasn't possible to bring my sister due to where she lived, it didn't make sense to pick up Laura from Astoria. In addition, everything we did was very fast. I knew what designs I wanted and got a custom bridal outfit. For gold shopping, also customary in our culture, we went 2 days before the wedding, conveniently scheduled the same day as our food tasting in Queens. I knew exactly what I wanted, so there wasn't much time spent shopping. For everything else, my mom and dad drove me to stores, during which we shopped while my mom was grocery shopping. I didn't make a fuss for anything in my wedding. All I asked were for the bridesmaids to show up. My husband planned everything in our wedding. I barely did anything besides choose color schemes and pay my half. LOL. I never got a bridal shower because she said to my face that she didn't want to plan one. Guys, I'm so devastated that I will never experience a bridal shower. When I showed her my gold design, she said it's nice, but if I had seen the one her dad bought her, I wasn't aware that this was a competition. For her wedding, she's divorced now, her father paid for the wedding, gold, etc. I was single-handedly paying my portion for all 3 events Sam and I planned. We spent over $100,000 on our events as we had dreamt so many years of what we wanted. The day before my wedding, she told Sam that she didn't have a ride and if he could drop her to the wedding. He was shocked as it made no sense that she'd asked the groom on his most important day. I offered her a spot in my limo in case she didn't have a ride, but she didn't accept the offer. The wedding was beautiful and everyone had a great time. The day after the wedding, I Venmo'd my bridesmaids about $15–20. So as in the Bengal culture, the bride's side holds a gate and demands the groom's pays up if he wants to enter and wed the bride. It's a cute ceremony and just there for fun and games. I told Sam to have an envelope with $100 in singles. It's customary to have $500, but as I didn't have any younger cousins, and the only people holding the gate would be my friends, who were all my age.
Next story.
For 25 years, my best friend stood by my side, but after her actions at my wedding, I finally ended our friendship. So now everyone's asking, was I wrong for cutting her off? I, 37F, have 2 siblings, 43M and 20F. For the sake of the post, I will call them Mason and Brittany. Our father died when we were young due to an undiagnosed heart problem. His parents had gifted them an old family homestead on a lot of land at their wedding and helped a lot to keep our family above water before they passed. Our mother finally found her feet after about 5 years of deep depression and did well for our family. But she was also very frugal. We had good clothing but no fancy vacations. Our mother had ignored signs of bad health for years, even when we tried to get her to go see someone for it. She passed away recently due to late-stage cancer, leaving us with a lot. My siblings each got more than $150,000 in money, sentimental but expensive items, and furniture. I did not get the money. I received the house, the land, and some items. The house and land, which had been sold off bit by bit over the years, due to Mom's declining health and inability to properly tend to it, is worth far below the $150,000 my siblings received. I had moved in with Mother near her end, and it really was only supposed to be temporary as I believed the house would be sold after her passing and the money split 3 ways. I already had a plan to roommate with a friend and her family after Mom's death to make that process go more smoothly. Most of my stuff has been sitting in storage for almost a year. As the only one who worked from home, I could watch the home health workers and nurses to make sure they were being kind, doing their jobs, and not stealing. Mostly, it was to make sure they treated my mother with respect and kindness, but my brother did worry about someone walking off with her wedding ring since she was so attached to it. We all agreed for it to be placed in with her ashes. So I made a little setup and took care of her. My siblings came by frequently, 3 to 6 times a week, each of them. Mason had 2 kids and Brittany only has 1, but they visited as well, though not as much near the end because it was hard for them. So in the weeks leading up to her death, my mother had me pack up what items went to who in large boxes and set them off to the side. My siblings hated me doing this, but understood it was what she wanted. The will was read, they checked their boxes to make sure my mom didn't miss anything when telling me to pack, and they left me to my house. Weeks passed and I finally felt like I could start doing things to the house. Now, I did say the house was dingy. It's not worth $150,000, but the housing market is crazy, so I thought it was a bit of a luck. It needs repairs, the roof, the chimney, the water heater, some pipes, the doors and windows for heating purposes, and everything inside is so darkly painted or made of wood that just sucks out all of the light. I immediately had people checking the roof, the chimney, and the water heater. My siblings offered to lend me the money, but I declined as I had been saving for a while to buy an apartment or something small since it is only me. I would also rent rooms for the local college students to get some of that money back, and I picked out paints for different rooms but decided to leave the wood flooring. As I started going through everything in the house, which had specifically been left to me as stated in the will, I began finding things. Some money in books, and there are so many books. The money taped under beds, money folded into the fancy sheets, money hidden in the teapot and cups that has been passed down into the family which we had never been allowed to touch in fear we might break them. I found jewelry in different boxes, hidden in the attic, the vents, and sock drawers. Some of it was so gaudy it had to be costume, but I put it all together, thank goodness I did, and took it to be appraised. The worth of the jewelry is nearly half of what my siblings got. Even the would-be costume jewelry is worth something. Even now, I'm still finding things. I found antique items, fancy watches, untouched clothing and bags with price tags still on them, belts and shoes still in their boxes. All of this was tucked away, apparently hidden, and not talked about. Some of the clothing still had receipts, and since neither I nor my sister can wear them, I took them back to see if I could get the refunds or started selling them online, since again, everything left in the house was specifically left to me. I took the cash and used it to help pay for the immediate repairs, and it almost covered the whole thing. I looked through the jewelry and kept what I liked, which was very little as I am not into that sort of thing, and put aside some for my sister and my brother's daughter. I liquidated the rest and put that into savings. I also put aside some of the bags and belts and watches for my siblings and their families. We can't fit the clothes, but those things are easier to swap around. I invited everyone over and gifted them the items, telling them I had found them while I was cleaning everything out and thought they may like to have them. Everyone was happy to get them, and there wasn't much bickering among the kids. They asked what else I found, and I explained the jewelry I kept and the clothing I was selling off. My brother got a weird look on his face and asked if I had found any money. I told him I had, but tried to downplay it as mostly change and loose bills. He asked to see the money, and I grabbed a Jijon water refill container I had started storing all the coins in. He told me that was a lot of coins and asked if I was going to use it for the laundromat, since I left them all loose. I rolled my eyes because I have a washer-dryer set. I told him there was no point in cashing them in until I cleaned the whole house. So he told me to let them know so we could all split that and the money I got from selling the clothing. Then when I asked why, he said so we can split it. I asked him why I would split it when they all had gotten large cash inheritances, sentimental and expensive things, and some other things. I literally got the house, the problems, the cleanup, and the nice things I did find that I thought they might like. I handed over without being asked to. But he told me I didn't have to be a greedy AITAH about it, and to never mind. My sister gave me the side eye but didn't say anything. But I feel guilty for misleading how much I had actually found, even though it was all put towards making the house better. To be clear, all of my mother's debts were paid, and she had money set aside for the funeral service and cremation.